Well, this morning the news broke that Queensland Treasurer Cameron Dick has threatened to strip miner BHP of its leases if the big Australian fails to keep investing in the state of Queensland. Now, this comes after BHP started to back away from Queensland following the Treasurer's move to introduce a new three-tier royalty scheme, which includes the highest mining tax rates in the world, despite, please don't forget, promising at the last election not to increase taxes or introduce any new ones. It was a promise he made over and over again. In the most recent Queensland budget, Queensland posted a record $12.3 billion surplus. Of course, that was on the back of both higher prices for coal, but also these new coal mining royalties. And now that BHP has really had no option but to shift its attention to more mining and business-friendly jurisdictions, the Queensland Labor government, clearly addicted to the royalties from an industry they and their federal counterparts seem intent upon demonising, is threatening to cancel the company's mining leases and, in essence, steal what property rights they have in those mining leases. Joining me to discuss this is Queensland's Shadow Treasurer for the LNP, David Janetsky. David, thank you for your time tonight. David, this sounds like something out of some tin pot African republic. What's going on here in the state of Queensland?
Yeah, Amanda, it's another day and another unhinged and irrational performance from the Treasurer. He has declared effectively war on our most important industry, the resources industry. And right now in Queensland, what we need is good government. And good government means stability, predictability and reliability. And instead, what we're getting from the Palaszczuk government and her Treasurer is more chaos and crisis just when we don't need it.
This constantly shifting and utterly unreasonable policy making really does deter investors. They need certainty to be able to put their money behind anything. And given the sums of money involved in mining projects, that is particularly necessary. David, BHP boss Mike Henry has hit back at the Treasurer's threats, saying that BHP's position was not particularly controversial. Do you think his position is controversial?
Look, what the Labor government failed to understand is that businesses need long-term investment horizons. So they invest billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars in some cases, in these large-scale projects over long horizons. Those horizons mean long-term employment, long-term prosperity, and that kind of investment means ultimately there will be royalties that will pay for the hospitals and schools and roads and community services that Queenslanders expect. And Amanda, I think even if we take a step back, how we've ended here is that the Treasurer and the Palaszczuk government promised 26 times around the last election that there would be no new or increased taxes. They broke that promise. They broke that trust with the business community and with the people of Queensland. And if you recall, it led to the extraordinary circumstances where we had the Japanese ambassador, Shingo Yamagami, speaking out about those royalty increases and the disrespect and contempt that those changes showed for the business community. The Palaszczuk government has declared war on our most important industries at a time when we need them. The Palaszczuk government is spraying billions of dollars into a housing investment fund that hasn't delivered a single house, billions of dollars into a hospital and health plan that hasn't delivered a new bed, ward or hospital, and billions of dollars into record policing budgets, but we're down 200 police on what we were simply 1 year ago. The Palaszczuk government is in crisis and chaos, and this kind of pronouncement today damages Queensland's reputation with the investment community and ultimately damages the future prosperity of Queenslanders.
David, the environment politically in Queensland seems to be improving for the Liberal National Party. Given that you are no doubt hopeful of a victory at the next election, what would the LNP do to make sure that the Sunshine State doesn't lose the business of the big miners and indeed other businesses? simply because the jobs and the prosperity of households and Queenslanders depends upon it.
Yep. Well, the first thing you do is treat business and the community with respect. And that is the first thing we would do. And if you look back over the last 12-month period and the broken promises from the Palaszczuk government and her Treasurer, you think about the different fronts that the Treasurer has opened war up on. The patients tax, which is now opening right up around the nation, which means it will cost more for Queenslanders to go and see the doctor in the middle of a health crisis. If you recall, there was a renters tax where the Palaszczuk government and her Treasurer in particular targeted those mum and dad investors that were seeking to put in supply into a housing market here in Queensland, and they were going to propose a national land tax, a renters tax, which would have driven up rents in the middle of a housing crisis. And here we have, again, with these coal royalties and this pronouncement today, this Palaszczuk government is damaging Queensland's reputation domestically, nationally and internationally. And so the first thing you need to do is be stable, consistent and reliable in your decision making. So a future Christopher Foley government, that would be the first thing on our agenda, to bring back confidence, get those investment dollars back into our state. We've had private sector investment flatlining across the life of the Palaszczuk government. We need to be working with business so that everybody can gain and the people of Queensland can get the services that they so badly need.
David Janetsky, Shadow Treasurer, thank you very much for your time tonight.